Hello, historical people. It's Wes in the garage again, talking absolute rubbish about English longsword and that kind of thing. I want to talk about a sort of George Silver cutting principle today, which I'm not. Again, I'm no expert in longsword, no expert in English, but George Silver puts together some nice ideas. And some people say he's done it the most clearly. I will not be the most clear person today or ever for that matter, but one of the things that catches my eye with the way he asks for you to cut is he says come to the place guarded, something along those lines. Okay, hopefully I'll find the quote one day and memorize it properly, but it's come to the place guarded. Now I've taken a lot of my inspiration here from Sabre. Well, it's kind of like English short sword, backsword type stuff. But come to the place guarded. Now, we know he likes to stand in his open fight. And when he says come to the place guarded, what I believe, and I have seen another video, I'll try and link it down here, about it. It's like, I want to come in, and then I'm striking off that. So instead of just coming and striking round, or just immediately striking, I want to come to the middle, then strike. Because you can still generate a lot of power from your wrist. So I don't need to just fucking bomb it in there, but also it fucks with their timing. Obviously, time of my hand is true, and then that's always going to be true. I'm giving myself that little spot, so the time of my hand will fucking smash him in the throat before we can do anything. But also, with this kind of coming here, right, as I come down there, I'm basically putting in a block before anything happens. If I'm coming over here, likelihood is they're coming the opposite way to defend me, to block me for whatever. So I can come here and then I can quickly back out. Instead of finishing that cut, I can move to a parry, I can back out, I can do whatever. It gives me that thought process, and it turns all my attacks into like a two-stage thing. Now, when I look at longsword, I think, can I accomplish the same things? And kind of. And I think that's where moves such as, I didn't talk about it in my other video, but I think it's where moves such as the half hawk come in really handy. So if I'm here and I hawk, okay, I've put myself, maybe I'm not in range, so I've just hawked into range. I've come in now and I'm guarded, okay? So I've put some out there. You know, if they weren't managing the range, maybe I'd have hit them, but now I'm here. Half hawk is just there. Okay, I'm stood at a funny angle because I'm a lefty and I'm doing it wrong. But I've hawked in. I've got a half hawk there. Like, I've got a move to do. I could round, or I could round from there. Things like that. Like, it gives me options. And if I sort of take that principle into the longsword, okay, and make sure that whenever I'm looking at these plays, if I'm looking at the man that wills, or I'm looking at the ledal rolls and things like that. I know George Silver was after all that, because that's where he takes his inspirations from, or some of them at least. If I'm trying to move into the place unguarded, or guarded all the time, then when I start sending my proffers out, I'm using them to set up my guard position, potentially. So if I'm threatening up here, and like I said with the ledal's fourth roll, I think when they say proffer rake with a quarter, I think what I'm doing is setting myself up to be in a protected guard spot here, and then I'm setting up that rabbit, striking in, bosh, whatever. So it's a bit of a weird theory to comprehend. Well, maybe not. Maybe it sounds simple, but like when I'm actually sparring and doing things, like, it's something you don't think about all that often. But if I go in with the mind of always go in protected, always go in guarded, then I'll always give myself a better position. It's kind of a concept of, in a way, similar to the concept that we teach in the order for warding, or what we call warding. So obviously you've got your blocks and your parries. Your warding would be something along the lines of, okay, I've sent a strike out, whether it hit or not, I'm sitting in a good position now to follow up from. I think coming to the place guarded that Silver talks about is the same concept. So let's say I just send a little round strike out. Like, I want to stay in the place guarded. I don't want to just be like sending my attack out and then coming back here and twatting about. Okay. Or what's common is, oh, I've sent a strike out and now I'm sat down here. Or I've sent a strike out and I've come back up here. Well, typically what you see is that, where you just leave your hands out too long and you don't come back. Things like that. Like, I want to make sure when I'm in the place, so when I'm in my sort of engagement range, weapon range, where we can hit each other just about, like, I never want to be unguarded here. I can come back here and threaten like a motherfucker and just be an idiot, throw all this crazy stuff out. But let's take, I can't remember what play it is, but let's take the spring into the quarter sort of start from one of the plays. So I'm outside of range, I do a big threat, send that spring off, and then I'm in, okay? I'm not coming into the place guarded there, but I am setting it up to come into the place guarded here. And I can't remember what the action is after there, maybe a thrust, seems pretty reasonable. But yeah, come into the place guarded. Like, I like it. It's good. When you've got a weapon with hand protection, it's much easier. You can just threaten there, attack wherever, or equally threaten there and then deal with whatever's coming at you. So I think that kind of early principle can align with longsword as well. Obviously, you just have to find your own methods of how that works. But yeah, like, protect yourself at all times, I suppose, basically. This is one reason. I'll just start ranting a little bit. But it's the one reason I'm not the biggest fan of the Zwerkhow done traditionally. Unless you are obviously incorporating that offline movement. But people will just send these out. Not typically as a first attack, so fair play to them. But you'll come in with something like that, and then that's there. But depending on what I've done here and here, you know, some people can rocket these off so fucking fast though, so whatever, like, I can do it. I get tangled in all my shite in the garage too much, so maybe that's why I don't like them. But yeah, I don't like opening up the body when you don't need to. There's plenty of cuts and disengages you can do while keeping the centre line, or at least not leaving the centre line. Got half hawks and shit like that. I don't think you need to be opening yourself up for big heavy strikes and things like that, because this is my force multiplier. I don't need to get my giant monkey arms in there all the time, unless I listen to Maya, but whatever. So those are just some thoughts on that. So come to the place guarded, protect yourself at all times, and kind of integrate a defensive thinking with your attacks. So don't be sending attacks out there with no thought of defense. You should always be thinking, can I take that line? Can I be defended from that? Like, you know, can I at least be protected a little bit with this attack? Am I warded? Am I less likely to die if I do this, basically? Anyway, hopefully some of that's been helpful for you. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in a bit.